everybody, how's it going? So as you can see here, we're gonna go over a few hand histories, all different formats from a few different sites, and what we're gonna be looking at and talking about is a 20 to 25 big blind effective stacks and hyper turbos, and we're gonna be talking about how to play the certain hands at those deep levels versus recreational players, readless players, and also your regular player, or what you guys would call him, a reg, somebody who plays a lot of poker, um, somebody that is a thinking player. So the difference is going to be that with a recreational player, since population tendencies tend to say that they flat a little bit more than regulars, I think it's a situation where we're going to be 3-bet shoving a lot of our ranges, because not only are they going to be flatting our 3-bets with hands like, let's say, ace jack, but also they're going to be calling really wide when we shove as well. So it's actually just better expectations with those hands by just shoving versus readless players in general. Now, something we're really going to be talking about in this game is how to approach somebody that is reg. And we don't necessarily want to jump into a game where we're already, assuming that he's going to be 4-betting us all in with the wide range. We want to treat these players as readless regs until we develop reads on them. And the reads that we're trying to develop on these guys is if they are the type to be 4-bet shoving with a wider range than some others. And that's when, certain hands come into play where we can, 3-bet not all in, because we know that they're going to be shoving wide, and we're going to be able to get a better expectation from hands like pocket 7s and pocket 8s, instead of just 3-bet shoving them all in and hoping that we get a wide call. Now, obviously, this isn't something we just jump right into. This comes with reads, so this comes with setting our own dynamic that we do 3-bet pretty wide, not all in, which allows us to take it to that next level. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was my pre-flop ranges, 3-bet not all in ranges versus regs, before setting that dynamic. Alright, so I just whipped up Icymizer real fast, and as you can see, my 3-bet not all in range from 20 to 25 big blinds versus a readless reg is going to be, as you can see, a good amount of bluffs, and then also pocket 9s through pocket aces, and then you could throw in some king queen suited, some king queen offsuited, and some king jack suited. Balances out the ranges pretty well. But when doing this, we obviously set a dynamic that we're willing to 3-bet with more than just our nutted hands here, and with just 3-betting these hands not all in at those effective stacks, we're going to be able to develop certain reads that allow us to understand if a reg is going to be 4-betting us pretty wide. And then when we get those reads that he's going to be 4-betting us pretty wide, we start to open up our 3-bet not all in range with hands like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, and so on and so forth. And you could even throw in hands like pocket 8s and pocket 7s. And the reason we do that is because if they're 4-betting us really wide, and we 3-bet not all in a hand like pocket 7s, well, there's a good chance that he's going to be 4-betting all in with, let's say, ace 7 through ace 2. And when he does that, we love the position that we are in that scenario. This way, we keep our opponent unbalanced, a little bit confused. Our ranges are very balanced, and it makes it very hard to play us. And I think overall, instead of just 3-bet shoving a lot of those hands when we do have a read that he's 4-betting pretty wide, we can find better ways to play our better hands for sure. And we will get into that with a few examples as well. So our first hand here is going to be an example where we are playing versus a readless opponent, a readless recreational player, a readless reg that we don't really have any distinct reads on. and we have a hand like pocket sevens out of position. Now, if we have that dynamic mentality and we have that read that Valen likes to 4-bet us, well, this might be a good opportunity to 3-bet not all in to T90 here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? And for this first hand, what we're going to do is post our blinds. He makes it 40 and 25 big blind effective stacks. What are we going to do? We're going to shove all in. And the reason we shove all in is because he likes to call pretty wide. And recreational players do somewhat call wide. They'll call with a lot of ace-x. They'll call with obviously hands like pocket 2s and pocket 3s. And a lot of the time they'll even make even lighter calls. So I think that even if we are getting folds, this hand is best played by just 3-bet shoving all in. And as you see, he makes the light call. We are sitting pretty, and we end up holding as well. Alright, so same position again. We have a hand like ace-king. Same exact scenario. We're talking about a guy that we have no reads on. And we're at a position with a hand like ace-king, 25 big blinds deep. And he opens. And what are we going to do here? Once again, we're readless. This hand is played best open shoving. The reason we do that is because without reads, we don't know his flatting ranges. We don't know his 3-bet, his 4-bet shoving ranges. But we do know population tendencies, and population tendencies tell us that people will call a little bit wide out of position. The last thing we want to do is 3-bet this and get flatted and then be in a very tricky spot out of position with a hand that doesn't necessarily play too well and hit the board all that much. So, with that said, we should just be shoving, just like that. And once again, he calls ace-jack. And we ended up getting unlucky, but at the same time, just another point of seeing how these hands should be played a little bit differently than versus a player that we have a little more reads on for sure. Alright, so now that you guys understand that, versus readless players, versus recreational players, versus players that you don't have a read, that they 4-bet in general, you guys now understand that we should be just 3-bet shoving a lot of those, big ace-x hands and not getting too tricky with trying to 3-bet not all in with them. The same goes for like pocket sevens and pocket eights. Just better off just shoving those babies right in until once again you get those further reads, and I can't stress that enough. I really can't. Now what we're going to be getting into is our ability to set up our dynamic versus a player. Now obviously versus both readless players and regulars that we do potentially have, at least his shark scope numbers on. We're still going to have a non-all-in 3-bet bluffing range, and which I showed you before. And we're also going to have a non-all-in 3-bet value range, which ranges from, like what I said before, 9s through aces, king, queen type stuff. So we still have our ranges balanced to an extent on those type of hands. So it's not like we're not getting value from our bigger hands by not just, we're not just open shoving those 3-bet shoving those hands. And losing value with him just folding all the time. So we still have a dynamic in itself when talking about not 3-betting all in. So this is a situation where we have 3-9 suited, which is definitely in our 3-bet bluffing range. And we have our villain that we have no reads on, 25 big blinds deep, first hand, why not take a shot, right? So 3-9 here, he decides to open here. We make it T90, which is fine. I think that's perfectly fine. Some people like to make it 100. Some people make it like 85 or 80. I think T90 works just fine. And he flat calls. So right off the bat, we want to be thinking to ourselves, well, we still have no evidence that he's going to be 4-bet shoving. With that said, we should probably still be 3-bet all in, 3-bet shoving all in our ace 10, our ace queens, our ace jacks, hands like that. Pocket sevens, so on and so forth. because once again he's flatting, and population tendencies tell us that he likes to flat, even though even if he is a reg or he's not a reg, like obviously those population tendencies are for the recreational players, but there are still regs that will flat very wide. Just because he's a reg doesn't necessarily mean he's a good reg. There are bad regs. There are good regs, obviously, as well. So he flats here. Not the greatest flop for us, but I still think we have the C bet here. And we bet 65. I think it's fine sizing. And he raises, and I think we have no choice here but just to lay it down. But what we're setting here, even though we lost this hand, what we're setting here is a dynamic type of player that we are going to come off as. And set the trend for later in the game or for many games to come. Because obviously if you lose one buy-in, it's not the end-all be-all. We are willing to sacrifice a buy-in to get permanent reads on somebody that will obviously play to our advantage in the future. No need to bet half pot here. I think 65 works fine. And we just lay it down. Alright, so different villain, but as we do in poker, we tell a story that makes sense. So this video is going to have hands that make sense. So continuing on from the hand that we literally just played, the 9-3 suited, where he flatted us, we cannot, significantly tell ourselves like we have reads, enough reads to 3-bet not all in this ace king hand, right? So based off of last hand with him flatting here, I think the way we should play this ace king, and if you're in game and this is the hand right after you play 9-3 suited and he flatted your 3-bet not all in bluff, we have to be 3-bet shoving this all in, and that we do, and he folds. Continuing to theme with not picking up the significant reads that we will in the future. Alright guys, so once again a different table structure as well. Sorry if you guys have an issue with just the different tables, different sites obviously, but something that we see on this hand as well is 9-4 suited, and this falls right into our 3-bet not all in bluffing range. And one thing I want to talk about is that these hands are spread out, and obviously we have about 4 to 5 hands we want to go over, but it's not going to be that simple. You're not going to be able to see one hand and pick up a solid read on somebody. Sometimes it takes multiple situations where you see the same thing. This is just a quick sample to give you just an idea, just of how things may go down. I don't want you to see somebody who 4-bet all-ins just one time and just assume he's always going to be doing that. Obviously, you want to have concrete reads and not just take notes off of just one example. And that's something I can't stress enough as well, is I know this is a small video and I want to just get my point across, so don't take it out of context, and that's all I ask of you guys. So obviously 9-4 here, out of position, 25 big blinds deep. He raises, we 3-bet not all in a T90, and he shoves. Sorry that said call, but he shoves there. And obviously we have to fold. So here we go. He has a 4-bet shoving range here. And this ace jack is irrelevant here. He didn't necessarily have to have a value hand, but it just showed it anyways. But what I was trying to get across is now we see that this guy, based off the prior 2 hands, he has a 3-bet, a 4-bet shoving range, which allows us to implement our read. And remember, not taking this video out of context, because in our mind this is like the second or third time we've seen this, and we'll just pretend it's that way. So now that we have that read, we can adjust our hands, right? Alright guys, so final hand of the video here. And remember, don't forget to send your insane crazy hands in as well. But once again, we've developed these reads over a long period of time. So let's see. So we have ace king here. He decides to lead. Min raise. We T90 it, and he shoves all in. We obviously call. yeah, sorry that said fold. We're obviously calling here, and just a mistake with the hand histories. And obviously, we stack him off here with ace king. And remember, we had those reads that he was four betting here pretty wide, and this is completely. This is something that I see a lot of when I play. Is that regs will be willing to four bet shove these a7 hands when we have a dynamic that we're three betting, and it's not necessarily a bad play. I mean, we obviously have a three bet bluffing range as well. So I think that, but these allow us to play just a better game overall, a more dynamic game. Because when you play versus better players, you have to be a little different. You have to be a little more creative, and that's what makes you better at the end of the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember that I am teaching the hypers now, and get those hands in. And I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed it, and take care.